Thank
Okay.
you, Jeffrey, for what'd you say? 7 p.m. in London, 1 p.m. here in Central Time. And thank you for sharing. Well, you said you've been cooking jam since the 80s?
Yes, always in the microwave. People say you can't cook jam in the microwave, but I've been doing it very successfully for 40 years.
And you, but at this point, you said you have a cupboard full of jam.
Yes, so I'm just making some more, especially for you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us, especially all the different kinds of jam. Would you say there's anything that you feel like we shouldn't make?
I did once try to make a jam out of papaya, and that really wasn't very nice.
Okay.
And of course, strawberry jam is excellent, but don't forget the strawberries have no pectin. So if you're making strawberry jam, you must mix it with something. I always do 50% strawberry and 50% apple, and that works very well.
Yeah, because apple has the natural pectin in it.
Yes. For other soft fruit, you don't have to use the apple, but I tend to always make it 50% apple and 50%.
Well, also strawberries are extremely expensive and they disappear really quickly.
Yes,
so
but it's the same with all the soft fruit. It makes it go further. And someone mentioned earlier about mango. Well, I did once as a special treat. I made raspberry and mango jam, which was absolutely delicious.
But I have one mango. I don't think I can make much with that. We'd probably just go ahead and eat it.
Yes.
It's just, I bought it like 2 weeks ago and it takes a long time to get ripe when they pick them up green. So in your description, you gave us a description of many different kinds of jams and marmalades.
Yes.
What I have is I have a whole bunch of limes.
Okay.
And apples. And then I have frozen fruit. Have you ever done it with frozen fruit?
I have frozen fruit tonight for one of them. I'm making two things tonight. First of all, I'm going to make some grapefruit marmalade.
I actually picked these strawberries. Did you say grapefruit? Grapefruit marmalade?
Yes.
Ooh, I don't think I've ever actually had that.
Really? You can make it great. You can make marmalade with any fruit, with any citrus fruit. You can use oranges, grapefruit, lime with what you're using. And what's the other one?
So lemon. Any type of citrus, yeah.
Sometimes I make 3 or 4 fruit marmalade. I put them all together, and that is really nice. And of course, also that's a cut. I put the etrog in it because that's another citrus fruit, so that gives it a nice flavour as well. The only thing there is that that's a fruit which has an awful lot of pips, so they're quite difficult to get out.
All right.
But for the other fruits, they're easy.
Have you ever made one with the Buddha's hand citrus? It looks like a hand. It's yellow.
With what?
I mean, if it's a citrus, you could make any. But do you always make it with the whole fresh fruit, or can you eat the fruit and then just make it with the skins?
No. I always use the whole fruit.
Okay.
I must admit, on 1 or 2 occasions, I've bought it in the tinned prepared mix, but then just cooked that. But that's cheating.
All right.
So tonight I'm just going to do grapefruit. Now, the difference between a jam and a marmalade is the amount of sugar and the cooking time. For a marmalade, I don't normally work on quantities. For my spiced up and honey recipe that I'll do later, I do use quantities, but for everything else, I work on proportions. So it's for ordinary jam, it's an equal quantity of fruit and sugar. For marmalade, it's a double quantity of sugar to fruit. So this grapefruit, I've already weighed it. I happen to know this weighs 300 grams.
So you always do it by weight?
Yes, I weigh the fruit, yes.
Okay. Well, then go for it. Let me go grab my baking scale.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So I've got 300 grams of grapefruit here, so I'm going to need 600 grams of sugar. So first of all, I'm just going to cut up the grapefruit. I mean, I say this is quite a small batch. So I'll just slice it up. Oh, it's a nice grapefruit, this one. That smells delicious.
So if I have these limes,
Yes, you slice your limes.
how do
That's
you think
fine.
I should start prepping them? You just cut them up and take the seeds out?
Yes, if they've got seeds in, take the seeds out, yes. And then they're going to go into the food processor to be chopped.
Okay. First, you wanted me to weigh them, so I'll know how much.
How much sugar to add, yes.
So.
Is anyone making anything with soft fruit? Is it only me and Dora who are cooking? Is anybody else cooking?
I'm going to be cooking and I have blueberries.
Okay, then in that case, you can either use blueberries on their own or you can use blueberry and apple. In which case you want equal quantity of blueberry and apple, and you will want an equal quantity of fruit and sugar.
Okay, perfect.
And then I have frozen strawberries, and then I also pulled out frozen bananas. I don't know if that's ever been one.
I've never made banana jam. I don't think that would work. I have made a banana sorbet, which was quite nice.
When you put it in the food processor, do you do it with any liquid, or it's just?
No. I don't have any liquid to these jams at all.
How small are you cutting it up?
Quite large chunks. Can you see that?
Okay. Yep. So probably these limes, I could quarter them.
Yes, quarter of them is fine.
Now you've taken the skins off.
No.
No, you haven't.
Skins off your blueberries either.
Citrus, no. That's why I was asking if you've ever made it with just the skins. Because
No.
anytime I see marmalade, to me it looks like it's mostly skin.
By themselves.
No.
So I'm going to put these in the blender so that I'm ready.
And how well are you blending it or pulsating it?
This is my chop program.
You're getting it down to very pulpy or very liquidy?
Yeah,
or?
it's quite pulpy, yes.
Okay.
And then after that, I'll add sugar, and that's another thing. So, is everybody else?
Are you making a lime marmalade?
Correct. So yeah, I've got the fruits I've got are limes, I've got apples, and I've got strawberries.
Good, yes.
And then I've got some ginger. I might throw some ginger.
Oh, that's nice as well. You can put the ginger in it if you want to. It goes well with the marmalade.
But you don't ever use pectin. You always just use apples.
I never use pectin.
So you just use apples as the natural pectin. Huh?
Pouring some sugar into a bowl. I'm just measuring some sugar.
All right. I'm going to mute myself for a second
But
here
once
because
I
it's going to
start
be
my
loud.
machine, you won't be able to hear anything I say. So.
There you go.
Good.
Pulped up.
Okay, good.
But now I have to measure the sugar into the same
Yeah, well,
container, right?
you can do that whilst it's chopping if you want to. I'm just getting it ready. But okay, so is everybody ready to start chopping? So I'm just turning on my food processor. I'm putting it on chop.
I almost forgot to zero out the bowl. Okay, so double sugar. Oh, that's going to be a lot of sugar. All right. Got my sugar out. We're ready, Jeffrey. I'm ready. Do I just put the sugar in now? Did we lose connection?
His picture is very still, so maybe he went off for a moment. I mean, his internet. Oh, there he moved.
I saw him move. He's back.
He's moving.
Jeffrey, we lost you for a second.
Since he's
Maybe.
got the food processor on, Zoom may be canceling out his audio. It does that
Yeah.
for me sometimes.
I think that's what happened. Yeah.
That he's still pulsating.
I don't see
Yeah, I
it
really
moving.
like this. I got this at a smoothie store auction.
Oh,
And so
Yeah,
it's
it looks like a Vitamix. It looks like a Vitamix.
but a little bit more. This is 3.5 horsepower, so
Wow.
serious power.
Sorry, or I couldn't hear any of this.
Yep.
He hasn't added his sugar. It's still on the scale.
Jeffrey,
Yes,
we
I
think
haven't had
when you get the really loud sound, it shuts off the audio. So,
Oh, sorry.
yep, it's all right. I pulsated mine. and
This is a
there's-
standard program, so
and I measured my sugar out.
push the stuff down into
I
the
have to
bowl.
remember with the scale to zero out the bowl.
Yes.
And
As I say, I'm not making such a big quantity tonight.
that was just one grapefruit, right?
That is one grapefruit.
I want to say
normally
mine
I
is about
do
7
this, but I
lines.
just want to show you the method. I don't really want to make a lot of jam because I've got so much already.
Yeah, you were saying you have cupboards full. I wish I was your neighbor. You could give me some for presents. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know. We have people from all over the world here. Maybe some people will be willing to pay for you to ship it to them.
What am I
You
doing?
could set up a little stand like Charlie Brown out in front of your house.
Yes. You know, I'm not sure if it's still legal to sell homemade jam now.
Probably
It
not.
used to be the standard thing of all the Women's Institute organizations.
It
They would
matters.
sell
Illinois
homemade
just
jam.
passed.
But
I
don't
live in
think it's
Illinois.
allowed
And they just
anymore. It's all
passed.
this health and safety nonsense.
Yeah. A cottage
So-
food law where you can make stuff at home and sell it, but they're very specific on what. So
So I'm now going to add the sugar to the mixing bowl.
you just put it all in.
Yes.
All right. That's a lot of sugar.
Well, it's double quantity of fruit to sugar, or if you're making jam, equal quantity of fruit to sugar.
Do you have to put so much sugar, or can you do a low sugar version?
Can you do a low sugar version?
I've never tried, but the basic rule is the more sugar you have, the less the cooking time.
I do
Yeah,
low
'cause-
sugar jams exclusively, and for that, no matter how much fruit I have, I put in a 1/4 cup of sugar, or if I'm using honey or molasses or something already.
Well, in
You
that
do
case,
it
if you want to
minutely.
do that, you do that, but you'll probably have to have a different cooking time.
Yeah, it takes a little longer, but not terribly that much.
And then I don't know if you have good fresh fruit, it's very sweet too.
Yeah. This is high sugar, there's no getting away from it. Okay, so can I start the food processor again? I want to use the mixing program this time.
Okay, go.
Oh.
That's some serious work getting all that sugar to mix in there. I grew up, we almost did no sugar and stuff. So this is like crazy amount of sugar for me. All right.
Well, I suppose you could use, you know, stevia or some natural occurring things that provide sweetness.
It's not really the sweetness, I don't think, for this as much as you're caramelizing the sugar, probably, no?
Oh, I
It's
see.
basically
The sugar
wrong?
does not have a chemical property to the jam making. It exists purely for flavor.
oh,
The
well, then.
pectin is gonna pectin regardless.
Well, Jeffrey does pectin free.
It's in the apples. Pectin's in
Oh,
every
yeah.
fruit. Pectin exists everywhere. You can add extra pectin if you're lazy. But
Is it also in citrus then?
yep, that's what the pith of the citrus is. It's just pectin starch in a matrix.
Okay, has everybody mixed their sugar?
Yeah.
Now, to be honest with you, I've done that today in the blender because I wanted to do it quickly. But actually, what I usually do is I just stir it in with the whisk and I cover it and I leave it overnight.
Okay.
But I wanted to get this done quickly today. So I'm now going to transfer this to my bowl for cooking. Don't.
Oh yeah, you're doing it in a microwave, so.
Yes, don't fill the bowl more than a third full because it will boil over. And I put something under it just in case it does, because if it does, you want to retain that liquid and pour it back in again, because otherwise you're going to have very soggy jam, very hard jam rather. If at the end of cooking, you find that it's not cooked enough and you can't tell that till after it's finished setting, then you can reheat it and reboil it again. Conversely, if you find it's a little firmer than it should be, you can add some boiling water to it and you can save it that way. So let's, what am I doing? So let me transfer this to the bowl. It's a very simple recipe. Oh, that's it.
How long do you cook it for?
Well, I'll tell you that in a moment. I'm just transferring. Now, I use my auto cook programs, and they're going to vary, of course, according to your machine. I'm going to cook this in my first microwave. I bought this microwave 40 years ago. It was the first thing we bought when we got married. It'll be its 40th birthday in a few days' time.
Ooh. I guess so. Basically, you're throwing a party for it right now.
It's like an
antique
microwave.
Facilities. You know, this one will auto cook anything. I don't have to weigh it. I don't have to set anything. I just have to press the cooking program and it will cook it. It doesn't have any maximum or minimum weights.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
My new microwave, I have to weigh everything. It has maximum and minimum weights, and it's a pain in the neck. But so I decided to keep this one. I'm just going to rinse my blade as well because I'm going to be reusing it for the apple and for the spiced up and the honey in a few minutes.
So it doesn't matter if it's not completely clean. I put a little water in mine, so I guess I made limeade. I'll tell you. Salud.
Good. And transfer the rest of it now from the bowl. Sorry, from the mixer to the
That's intense.
Good.
I don't have a microwave, so I'm going to try to make it on the stove top.
Okay, but it's not got any water in it. Remember that.
Nope, no water.
This recipe is not designed to be boiled on a. But it should work. But you might find it burns more quickly. The thing I do wrong sometimes is that I tend to leave the fruit on the worktop for 2 or 3 weeks before I use it. And then, of course, although I'm not aware of it, it started to dry out. So when I make it, and I make all that sugar in it, it does come out rather sugary because I've let the moisture content disappear. Yeah.
So I actually just tasted, that's literally just limes and sugar.
Yep.
Twice as much sugar as limes, and it's not very sweet because it's got that skin in there. I was really surprised. It's how sour it is actually still, considered how much sugar I put in there.
Yeah, the skin is bitter. What's the story? Maybe Jen knows this. What's the story in the old days when
they're 2/3 sugar as well? It's not that different to what you're buying in the shops, to be honest, except this has a higher fruit content. Well, it has more fruit rather than syrup, I think.
What's the story, Jen, on the old days when they used to have paraffin wax on the top of the jam jar?
It was just to keep it from drying out and from bugs to lay eggs in it and all sorts of other stuff. It was just a lid.
Okay.
So I'm just going to rinse these and then I'll put it in to cook. As I say, I'm going to be using these tools again for the next one.
So you don't even know how long it is. You're just hitting the auto button.
No, but it won't be terribly long. I'll tell you which program to use. I mean, on mine, I know I normally make fairly similar quantities, and I know roughly how long this will take. My guess is that this will probably take about 10 to 15 minutes.
Do you know how many watts your microwave is producing when it's in that program?
But I've got a 650 watt microwave, so.
Yeah, because a lot of the new ones are like 1200 watts.
Well, my new one is 1000 watts.
Oh, maybe. I'll see if I need to cut up how we need to cut these apples up. Well, it's not sticking very good.
Sorry.
This is the thing I use when I cut up a lot of apples. But all right. Where'd Jeffrey go?
Yes, just washing the equipment.
He's over at the microwave.
Oh, okay.
No,
I turned away for a second.
I haven't put in the microwave yet.
How do I cut up these apples? I could start cutting apples up.
They have to be peeled, the apples?
Probably not, because that's where the pectin is, isn't it?
I would have.
This one I have to cut off the bad spot. Look at it's got a big bad spot.
Good.
Jeffrey, we need you here.
Jeffrey, do you need to peel the apples?
No.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is put this into cook. I'll just talk you through that.
Okay, then let me pull the peel
So
thing.
make sure your bowl is not more than 1/3 full.
That one's got too soft of a center for my thing to work.
Okay. So now
Anybody ever see one of these devices? They cost only about $20, but it'll core an apple, peel it if you want. I always move this peeler thing out of the way and make it into a spiral. But only if the apple is like this last apple I tried to do had a soft center, so it went to spin and it just basically cored it.
I have a spiralizer, but I don't think it cores apples.
So this
I've
one
never
is
seen one like that before.
yeah, this is
Looks like
specific.
it's an old-fashioned thing.
They're about $20. I mean, we can buy them at the farm store around here.
Yeah.
And you can also use it for potatoes too if you want.
Oh, to peel and core, yes.
Except
That
these
dates
apples are way too
Oh,
soft.
the beginning of the
Center.
century, I think, last century.
So, all right. And then, yeah, I've used them for potatoes too. If I need to peel a
Now-
bunch of potatoes.
Okay, to cook the marmalade, I cook it on my frozen vegetables program. To cook jam, it's the quick meat sauces program, which is the one beyond the one that you use for Brussels sprouts and green vegetables like that, cabbage and all that sort of hard thing.
You said you cook everything in the microwave?
Yes, the only thing I heat on the hob is soup. Everything else I cook in the microwave.
That's interesting because people in the US mostly use microwave for eating soup.
Mhm. Nope, I'm the other way around.
Eating soup or warming things up.
Yep, nope, I use it for all my cooking. Now, are we ready for me to start the other one?
Yep.
I say,
I
Jeffrey,
found
I'm with
mine.
you. I use my microwave as you do. I use it for everything but soup. Soup I like to heat slowly. I'll do it in a crock pot or a low oven or on the hob on a low temperature.
And I actually do
Spice
recommend
up
for
and
people who want to be super energy efficient to use microwaves. But-
Spiced up and honey. This is the only one where I actually weigh the ingredients. So I've got 800 grams of apple.
And
which
how
I
did
just-
you cut the apples? Just
Well, I originally
however
cut
you
them
want because you're pulsating
leaving
it, right?
them in the freezer for I don't know how long, but they're originally from my tree.
From your
But-
tree.
Do you already have sugar in
They're
there,
cooking apples.
Jeffrey? With the
Yeah.
apple, you don't have sugar there yet.
There's no sugar. No,
Mhm.
no, these are just apples. But I mean, I would do the same as the other. I just cut them into chunks and core them and cut them into chunks and put them in the food processor to chop up. As it happens, I slice them because it makes it easier to freeze. But then that's the reason they're sliced, not for the food processor.
So are these frozen apples?
Yes, I've had them in the freezer for I don't know how many years. I wouldn't be surprised to find they've been there for 20
So
years.
I have frozen strawberries. Should I probably could add that to this recipe too, huh? Or should I do
No.
that as a separate one?
Okay, I'm just going to turn that on to chop these. And for this recipe, because of the honey, I use half a quantity of sugar. So it'll be 400 grams of sugar. So can I start to chop now?
I had a quick question. Do you think I should add strawberries to this recipe or use strawberries separate recipe?
No, if you want to make strawberry jam, oh, you're not making my spiced apple and honey, you're making strawberry jam.
No, I've got the apples. I'll make your spiced apple.
Okay, then in that case, no, not the strawberries.
Okay.
I'll wait till you finish cutting them. So it's 800 grams of apples.
All right. It's like,
This is a very quick recipe to cook.
all right, go ahead and pulsate yours.
Okay.
Except I always forget to weigh the bowl first.
Oh, hang on, what's happened there?
You have to subtract the bowl. All right, zero out the bowl. And he said 800 grams of apples. Yeah, with apples, I always make like an apple butter. And I feel like that's kind of what he's doing. But all right. Just went slightly over, so I get to eat one. So this is pulsated without any liquid at all, too. Oh. My belly hit it. Ah. The chopped up apple. I love this blender. Look at that. Bam, done. And then you said add honey to it. Got it. Yep, I got mine. But it's just apples. That's all I've got in mine.
Sorry, the noise makes it cut out. Well, I'm not talking whilst the machinery is on, so.
There you go.
Okay.
All I have is apples and that's it in it.
That's right, just chopped apple.
But then you said,
And now I'm going to add my 400 grams of sugar, my half quantity of sugar.
have you ever, how does this differentiate between apple
Sorry?
butter?
Between what?
Have you ever had apple butter? It's like a thicker applesauce.
I don't know. I haven't done that. I don't know what. I don't know that one. This is something I developed I invented a few years ago because I just had so many apples. I didn't know what to do with them. It turned out really nice. So I make it quite often now.
What kind of apple tree do you have?
It's a cooking apple of some sort. I'm not sure what the variety is. It's quite a big tree.
And you said we have to add honey to it and the spices now?
Not yet. No, the honey goes in after it's cooked.
Okay.
But first you add the sugar and and the mixed spice, the pack of mixed spice.
All right. Yeah, in the US we call it pumpkin spice.
Call it what?
In the US, the little mixed spice packet, they call it pumpkin spice.
Okay.
I like using garam masala myself.
Okay.
But
Use whichever one you like. They vary a little bit, but then, well, they do actually vary. But just find one you like.
I mean, what's in garam masala? Cinnamon, cloves, cumin, black pepper, and cardamom. So really.
Okay. Is everybody keeping up with this, or am I
Yeah.
on my own? Okay, so now I'm going to mix.
All right. That is done. Oh yeah, we were supposed to add honey to it. Let me wait until he tells me how much honey to add. It's like, where's the honey? It's hiding right there. To me, it just tastes.
I think he said you add the honey after it's cooked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, this just tastes like. Right now, I mean, it tastes and looks like applesauce.
Yeah, that's what it is, basically.
Or apple butter, really. Like a thicker. I don't even think. This is honestly so good, just like this. I don't even have to cook it. Mm. Oh man, I can make a quick applesauce just like that. I never thought of that. Jeffrey, this is honestly so good. I don't even have to cook it. I'm ready to eat it right now.
Well, it should be cooked because you need to add the onion to it. Sorry, not the onion, the honey to it. It'll
Don't
change.
add onions to it.
So I'm now ready to cook this. I'm just going to put it into my mixing bowl. This doesn't, oh dear, this doesn't need very much cooking time, because essentially all you're doing is bringing the apple to the boil to cook it. It doesn't need much in the way of cooking. So I'm going to transfer this to the mixing bowl.
Here, everybody else, look. This right here, I've had it on the lowest setting, and it like bubbled up almost to the top of the.
Yeah.
That's where you said to make sure you don't fill it up too much.
Very light stewed apple.
Oh, was
Yeah,
I
I'd
supposed
make
to
a-
cook this with no lid on? You
No,
cook
I
it?
always cook everything with the lid on.
Okay.
That'll make a big mess if it goes on your stove with all
Yeah,
that
I mean-
sugar.
It's basically, it had almost filled the pan.
Don't worry, this one's less likely to boil over because it doesn't get to a rolling boil.
I suppose, I mean, this does taste good enough to eat right now, but if you're canning it, you have to heat it up.
This is a nice recipe, as I say, I made it up a few years ago.
Do you always can your stuff, or how do
Sorry?
you store it? Do you always can your stuff, or how do you store it?
Key it in, sorry.
It requires doing it under pressure, does it not?
Oh, no, I mean, you can do a hot water bath. That's how I usually can. Although,
Cook under pressure, no.
Yeah,
Wow.
for jams, you can water bath can them for 10 minutes of processing time.
this is so good. I'm just like,
Don't eat it all. It's not so good yet. It isn't finished.
I'm just cleaning out the pitcher.
Okay. Now this one, you
Licking
just
the bowl.
put on something which will bring it to the boil. I'm going to do this in my other microwave. I've not done it in that one before. I'm just going to use a basic fish thing, I think, because the fish needs very little cooking. So I'll try it on that one and see how it goes.
So on the lowest setting, the apples on my stove almost immediately started bubbling.
Yeah, you're basically stewing the apple, but you don't want to overcook it. It's just heat it up. Now that's the
So
other one is
I
nearly
don't know if
ready.
you could see, there's like bubbles pop.
So hang on,
There's
let me
like
get
4 or 5 bubbles bubbling
that.
already. So
Auto cook fresh.
I guess while I'm waiting, I could make my strawberry following the same. I've got frozen strawberries that I picked and froze. So
Yeah.
following the recipe was,
That's telling me it's going to take 11 minutes, and I think it maybe needs a little more than that. But
so
the other one is about to bleed.
see, I mean, look how full that gets, almost to the top on the lowest setting on my stove. But all right, following the recipe, it's, I don't know. These strawberries are so sweet. I don't think I'm gonna put my sugar in there.
Right, good. The marmalade is done.
All right.
And
So
the
this
next
is,
thing I'm going to do is prepare the bowl to put it.
no, this fruit is still kind of frozen, but
Yeah,
I guess it'd
okay.
be okay.
So
15
I
minutes.
washed out some jars earlier, and I'm just going to heat them. Now I used to think that putting them in the microwave sterilized them. It doesn't actually, but it does warm them. But of course, the boiling hot jam will sterilize them, so it's not really an issue. So I'm going to put the jars in the microwave with a cup of water.
So you're actually canning them.
And I think I'm going to put 4 jars in the microwave, which is probably more than I need.
So Jeffrey, you're actually canning them?
In jars. The marmalade, yes.
Oh, well, I can't do strawberry jam. I used up all the apples in this.
Okay, so I'll give them 30 seconds a jar just to heat up with the hot water, so that will be ready in 2 minutes. And then I'll get it jarred up.
Yeah, for me to make this strawberry jam, I'm gonna have to get some pectin out because I used up all my apples.
Okay, well,
I can't.
you'll need some more apples, or it's the one fruit you can't blag. You can't make pure strawberry.
Oh, actually, I have one left. Think one's enough? I don't think so. I have another one.
We're not getting very good strawberries in the supermarkets now in Las Vegas. They're
Yeah.
really awful. You know what I mean? Bland and not very colorful.
Yeah, that's the fruit I always freeze is strawberries and blueberries because like when they're peak season, they're just perfect. And then I don't know, they just never can get them good from the off season. So I definitely always I feel like it's worth it to freeze them. And then of course, the blueberries, you freeze them, you could actually just pop a few of them out and just eat them. They're like little, no, little ice creams. All right. Here's my apple.
I'm just waiting for my dishing up in my jars to cook.
Jeffrey, do you always can them?
I put them in jars, yes.
Okay.
Bottle them, yes. Yes.
You never had, I've never had grapefruit marmalade either.
It's really lovely. It's delicious.
All right. How do you know it's cooked? To me, it just looks, I mean, the apples I could tell, but the other one, it just looks like liquid sugar to me.
Okay. So it should be very runny.
Okay, the marmalade should still be very runny.
Yes. So now I'm ready to bottle it.
All right.
Just give it a little stir. Mind you don't pour it on your fingers, of course.
It smells absolutely phenomenal.
The point we're doing in the microwave is you don't actually need, once you've worked out which is the correct setting for your microwave, you don't actually need to do a jam set on it.
So that jar is not too hot for you to hold?
Sorry? No, it's okay. But I do have to make sure I don't pour over my fingers. So I'll just wipe round where it's got a bit sticky. And then, which is the correct lid for this? Yeah. So to put the lid on, I put pressure in the middle of the lid. It was a metal one with a, oh, let me just stop that. It's going to cut off my machine in a minute. Hang on. That's better. Sorry, my computer was about to turn itself off. So I'll just put pressure in the middle. Now, if it's one of these with a pop-up button, this will reduce the air pressure so that when it cools, it will pop down again. Turn it back and then just tighten that lid up.
I just dropped my ladle in there.
Okay.
There you go. This is not a professional show.
And now I'm just going to wash the jar.
Look at that.
Sticky around it.
Great.
Don't try this at home.
Yep.
I am trying this at home.
I mean, the rest of the group.
just drop the ladle right in there. Ah, it's still too hot. Ah, that's it. I picked a nice small ladle.
Right that up.
Forgetting that it.
Where did I put my labels? Just a minute.
Oh, I got an idea. Let me get a fork. It's got a hole in it.
I probably
right
would
there.
have used a funnel. To
There we
fill
go.
those up.
Yeah, you can use a funnel if you've got one. I haven't got one. So.
Yes, if you made a lot of it, you could use a funnel, but
Yeah, if you made a lot of it, exactly.
yeah, when I can a lot of stuff, that's what I actually have. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Yep, see, there's a funnel right there. Nice stainless steel.
There we are. And cut the label.
They go through that small funnel though.
It's still too hot to hold. Wow. All right. I almost got this one full.
The label. There you are. Grapefruit marmalade, Jeffrey, today's date.
Finished
And there's a
product.
little more in here, so I'll just put this in another jar.
So as it sits, it'll get solid. It'll get more solid, Jeffrey.
Sorry?
Now, as
It'll-
it sits, it will get more solid. It won't be
It'll s-
runny throughout, will it?
Like right now, it's liquid. As it
It's
sets, it'll
very soft.
solidify.
If it's solid now, boil a little water and stir in the boiling water.
No,
But not-
she's saying if it'll turn to solid as it cools.
Yes, but if it's solid at this stage, or if it's hard at this stage, then
Okay.
then it'll go really solid. So I would suggest that if that's what's happened, then before you bottle it, add a small quantity of boiling water, not very much.
So you want it liquid right now. All right. And then
And if you find it's too soft when it's set, you simply pour it back into a bowl and boil it up again to lose a little bit of liquid.
all right.
Once you've worked out what the settings are on your microwave, you'll be fine with it.
Oh, that-
my other one is just beets. That's
For me, that made 3 little pints. And then
yep,
I've
so
probably
that's
got another half
perfect
pint.
timing. I'll just check the other one's right because that the foul on the other one that it's this cooking quantity, which is less than the amount I actually put in.
You could probably use that little bit of the apple mixture that you have with the strawberries that you're doing.
Oh, you mean this?
Are those
Or
the
that-
strawberries?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
This right here is the apple,
Oh, that's the
Um,
apple.
Wash the-
and the other one was lime.
Oh, that was lime. Oh, sorry.
Yep, so that's the little bit left over of the lime. Which, considering how much sugar I put in there, I'm really surprised how it's more sour than sweet still.
Mm.
But all right.
You could probably add the leftover lime right into your apples. And it wouldn't make any difference.
Well, I want to try some. I'm gonna let it cool a little bit and then try it.
Fruit, mixed citrus fruits is really nice. Same recipe, double quantity of fruit and sugar, but use 3 or even 4 citrus fruits together. One pineapple, one orange, 1 grapefruit, 1 lemon, 1 lime, or just use 3 of them, and it's really delicious.
My jars are too hot to touch still.
Okay.
All right. And then I think this apple it's pretty thick now.
I think he said the apple didn't require that much cooking.
No, the apple doesn't.
And the apple, I'm not going to can the apple because I'm going to just eat that. That was,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the marmalade, I'm going to eat that slowly.
I haven't finished the apple yet, or there's another thing to do.
Oh yeah, we still have to add honey to it.
It's all sticky down it. But that marmalade is nice.
I'm going to try that. I've never thought of grapefruit marmalade.
Any citrus fruit. Oh, grapefruit and lemon make really nice marmalades. I think I like the lemon best.
How much honey did you say to add to this apple?
I haven't yet, but I'll tell you in a moment.
Okay. I'm trying to rush you a little bit.
No, that's okay. So that should now be ready. I'll just check it is. I'm just coming to the microwave.
All right, I'm going to taste a little of this marmalade. It's already starting to thicken. See,
It'll be okay. It's not critical, to be honest.
that is intense. Wow.
What is?
My marmalade.
The
Extremely
lime.
sweet and extremely sour at the exact same time.
It's nice. Is it nice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Like,
now I'm going to add the honey.
so
How much honey?
Well, I'm just going to open it. Let me, So I add, for this quantity, I add 5 spoonfuls, generous spoonfuls of honey to the mix.
teaspoons or tablespoons?
They're sort of they're not tablespoons, they're sort of a dessert spoon.
Okay. Just adding a little flavor and a little.
I use runny honey. Oh, that is runny. Help. That is a bit too runny. Oh.
All right, let me taste
Okay,
this
that's
now.
one. What I do
Jeffrey, this apple is just amazing.
I know. I'll tell you more about it when I've added the honey.
Well, I added the honey and tasted it right away. That honey gives it, definitely elevates it.
What I normally do with it is that I use it on bread as a jam. But if you've got any little meringue cases, you know, the little tiny ones you buy in the supermarkets, the small size, and you put one.
You can buy little meringue
Sorry?
little piles.
The little meringue nests.
Wow, you guys are
And you
lucky.
put 1 spoonful of this in the meringue nest. It's absolutely delicious. To be honest with you, I think it would also make quite a nice pie filling, although I've never done that.
So we call this apple butter.
Do you?
Yep.
I
So
thought it's spiced up with honey.
I grew up making this, but how we made it is we would cook it for hours and hours and hours, slow
No,
cook on the top of the stove. And this has the same taste, and you made it in like nothing flat.
it's very quick. I don't do complicated cookery or.
Oh man,
I
that brings
always
back
say
memories
I
of
am
as a
cordon bleu.
kid.
I am cordon bleu. Only it's not quite true most of the time.
So
I've got an extra 2 letters after my name, you see. I've got the GH on the end after the EU. I'm bleu with it. And then stir in the honey so that it gets mixed in well.
So yeah, growing up, we'd have this on a, you know, fresh baked
And
piece
I've
of
got-
bread in the morning.
I've done quite enough jars, but never mind. Let me fill the ones I've got.
Oh, I can't stop nibbling on it. This is like,
I don't think it's going to last till tomorrow, is it? Or
oh yeah, I mean, that's a lot, but
I don't. Are your neighbours going to get any of this?
now, no.
I thought not.
One thing I remember one time we mixed this with milk and made an ice cream.
Oh, I've never done that. I've never made ice cream. So now I'm going to pot it.
That would be good over ice cream.
Yes.
Okay, I have to stop. I don't have to, but that is tasty. I don't mind this, the other one, but I didn't grow up eating marmalade. So for me, marmalade is something special.
Okay.
To me, it tastes very exotic.
Really?
Yeah.
I think marmalade is more of a British thing because most languages don't differentiate between marmalade and jam. They have the same word for both. Well, that's one jar of spiced up and honey. Oh, that is yummy. It's just the right mixture of tart and sweet.
Did we have any questions in the chat, or let's see here. Does anybody have any questions for Jeffrey? Thank you, Jeffrey. That especially this apple. You said you made this recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it just brought back memories of cooking it over the wood stove, like, I don't know, 10 hours to get this flavor.
No, I wouldn't cook over a stove for hours. Oh, goodness.
You know.
So that is spiced up and honey. There's enough here for a few jars, actually.
If anybody has a question, you can either write it in the chat or just say it.
Linda has a question.
Okay.
Let's see. We've got, how long did you cook the jam and marmalade for?
In the end, it took, well, I cooked it on the frozen vegetable setting.
It was about 10 minutes, it seemed like.
Yes, it probably was. Yes, it probably was. That's what I thought it would be. Yes. Yes, frozen vegetable setting, yes.
The apple one, I tasted it a few times, and I don't feel like you have to cook that very much. You're basically just warming it up enough to can it, right? The apple
What, the
one?
spiced apple?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't need to cook it a lot.
Yeah, you're basically just warming it up enough so when you
What do
can
I
it,
do?
it'll seal the jar.
Okay, I'm gonna need to heat up some more jars. I think I haven't got quite enough.
So we have a question. My microwave is a low, medium, high, no veggie or fish program, also 700 watts. What setting should I use? You'd probably definitely want it on a low setting because you don't want it to boil, the sugar to boil over. But let's see. Because you're doing.
Sorry, what was that?
Someone asked a question. My microwave is low, medium, high, no veggie or fish program, also 700 watts.
Right.
Which setting you think I should
Okay,
use?
the most important thing is always do it on high. Cook on high.
Oh, I was thinking low because you wanted.
But you'll have to work out how long to cook for. What power is your microwave?
700 watts.
Right.
So
the important thing is you don't let it boil over. So don't fill your dish more than a third full. And cook covered.
On my pot, it was more than a third full. And I couple times took the lid off and it was almost boiling over.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're in the microwave, you won't catch it. So have a dish underneath it. And if it does boil over, pour it back in because you don't want to lose that liquid.
Okay. But you said on high. I was thinking low would be better, but.
Oh, low will take forever.
Okay.
But don't forget, if you cook it on low, it'll be a long, slow simmer. It'll cook it on high. It depends how much you've made. I mean, as you say, I made 600 grams of sugar plus 300 grams of fruit. That's 900 grams. And that took about 10, it probably did take about 10 minutes, yes. Which I've got a slightly less powerful microwave.
Now, the first time you do it, do you think you want to make it with the lid off so you can watch it, Jeffrey?
What?
The first time you do it, do you think you want to make it with the lid off so you can watch it, or?
Well, on my auto-cook setting, it only works if it's covered.
Right.
So,
but I mean, if you put the plate under it, it's okay. You're paying attention.
As it gets to a rolling boil, it'll start to rise. And as it starts to rise, it'll rise quite quickly. And at that point, you stop it and you let it go down. You then, once it's down, you start it again and let it come up a second time and keep an eye on it because it'll happen quickly. And then you stop it again. And then you do it again a third time. And that third time is cooked.
Okay. Well, I did that by mistake. I opened it up 3 times my pot.
Yeah. You hit the magic number. You got it right.
So, good deal.
Have you ever done freezer jam?
Yeah, his apples are actually apples he froze, and he's taking them back out.
Oh, I don't know how long they've been in the freezer. It wouldn't surprise me if they've been in there for 20 years.
No, I don't mean freezer jam, but you can make jam just in the freezer. You don't need that much sugar. And just use the fruit, you don't cook it, so you have the vitamins still, like strawberry, blueberry, and you.
So you're just making basically a fruit puree in the freezer, like a.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we use pectin for that. You have cold pectin.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, Jeffrey doesn't use pectin. He uses apples as pectin if he does. So I like that because I like to know that I don't have to have a certain ingredient. So, all right. Any final questions before we wrap up here, Jeffrey? You want to?
No, I'm just packing up, finishing my stuff. If anyone else wants to know things, then of course.
Thank you very much for sharing your years and years of making jam in the microwave.
Well, I hope people like it. Of course, if you're not using auto settings, you might have to try it a couple of times till you get it right. But if it doesn't work correctly, you can save it by either adding boiling water if it's too hard, or by boiling it for a little longer, or boiling it up again if it's too soft.
How do you like to eat your marmalade?
On bread.
On bread? Just like a toast for in the morning? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't normally bother with toast because I'm too lazy, but not on bread.
All right. Any final questions? Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.